Hey everyone, Namaste, and we're going to continue on with the star weather forecast, Sun ingress into Aries, spring equinox, and also Venus-Saturn conjunction, part two of the analysis, which is going to be based on your personal ascendant, sun, and moon signs. And after part one, I had to take a little bit of a break. And for this part of the presentation, I have my tea ready, and I also have my donut ready. These donuts from Trader Joe's are really good. I did not expect them to be this good, but they're legit. I mean, they're not Dunkin' Donuts legit, but they are legit. So, yeah, I'm just gonna admit it. I am sugaring up. Um, Not exactly uh caffeining up because this is just tea, but it's good tea. This is one of my favorite teas from shoot, I'm gonna have to take a quick glance. Um Shoot, it's that brand from the UK. Yeah, Yorkshire tea. It's one of my favorite teas in the world. It's on the cheaper side. It's not name brand. It's not fancy schmancy. It's just solid, good, English afternoon tea. Just, it's, it's my blankie, you know, it's, it just soothes me so much to have a cuppa with a little bit of milk, sometimes with digestives. Um, and today with donut, and this is my second donut. I'm gonna just admit it. It's, as much as I try to eat healthy, I just enjoy a bit of sweets in the afternoon with a nice cup of strong milk tea. Like when I brew teas, I do it with two tea bags because one tea bag is just weak, right? And the milk doesn't accentuate anything when the tea is watery, but when the tea is really strong, then the milk somehow really accentuates that aroma in the tea. Like I'm drooling as I'm describing this, and the tea is right in front of me. So, yeah, I'm taking my time because I know people can just go to the timestamps and skip this part. So, this is the part where I am satisfying my own needs per my own 2024 forecast predictions, because again, this is the year where a lot of triggers will allow us to see where our needs are unmet. So I guess I am modeling for myself and for anyone who watches this to really take care of our needs this year. With Cancer ascendant year, we could feel very trigger happy. We could feel very insecure. We could feel very defensive. And so when that happens, number one, the reflex that I've developed for myself so far, and I see the need to really develop this year, is to go directly to the question, where am I not meeting my basic needs? And there are many, 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 many basic needs that could fall into all sorts of different categories. I'm just doing this on the fly, so let me just find it. Um, there's a pair of life coaches who I really enjoy online, and they have listed a list of needs that you could comb through to see which ones you really resonate with. Let's see if I can find it right now. I'm really doing this on the fly. Really hoping I could find it. Yeah, I don't think I can find it right this moment. But you know what? There's another reference point for this. I'm just going to throw it out. If you guys can see, this is the personal values card from these folks' work. And it's called personal values, but it also points to our needs. And you get to sort them. If you print these out, you get to sort them in terms of their importance to you. And, you know, it's like your needs could be about acceptance, even attractiveness. I need to feel attractive all the time. That's totally, you know, legit. And could be about integrity, needs around moderation, or needs around popularity, and all these needs. So if you just search, this is free online. So if you just search for the personal values card sort, like search for all of this information, this is free. This is free resource online that you get to just download and print them out into business cards, and to really start playing with what your needs really are, and to see them, to be able to sort them in visual terms. So it's a really powerful tool. Okay, so that's that. All right, so let's get to part 2 of the analysis. Just gonna scroll down. Okay, for part 2, check your ascendant, sun, and moon. And I want to mention that if your ascendant falls in between 12 to 30 degrees, then also check the ascendant after yours. So for example, if you're a Leo ascendant between 12 to 30 degrees, then also check the Virgo forecast, because Virgo comes after Leo. So the way that I've organized these write-ups are actually counting backwards. I'm going through the zodiac backwards. So for example, if you're Virgo ascendant and you are a Virgo ascendant in, let's say, 15 degrees, it's between 12 degrees to 30 degrees, then you want to check Libra, because Libra comes after Virgo. And just in my organization, just go towards the description. I know I put Libra before Virgo in terms of the ordering of these write-ups, but just do the one after in terms of the natural order of the zodiacs, and so on and so forth. Okay, so let's start with Libra ascendants. So if you're Libra ascendant, sun or moon, that means the Venus-Saturn conjunction. That's right, we're doing the Venus-Saturn conjunction and how it affects your chart. So the Venus-Saturn conjunction is going to be in your 6th house. So that means you've been dreaming big and now refining the scope of your work sector, because 6th house is all about the work sector. And they're transpersonal, bigger than life dreams that have been transmitted to your consciousness through the Neptune-Sun conjunction. I just want to mention really quickly, Neptune-Sun is going to conjunct in around March 17th. So in the Saturn conjunct Venus chart, which is the chart we're analyzing for your ascendant, sun, and moon, the sun is already in Aries. But because Sun and Neptune conjunction, which, I mean, any Sun conjunctions and aspects happen every single year because Sun goes around the chart yearly, but it's conjuncting in Neptune around March 15th, which is like a prequel to the Saturn and Venus conjunction in March 21st. That's why we look to it to see where you might be inspired to dream, where inspirations might actually come through automatically. Inspirations might be downloaded to your consciousness directly to give you a hint of where you can orient your goals for the year. And so that's why we're mentioning this conjunction. So back to Libra. So Libras, you may feel the itch and motivation to expand the scope of your work and or to level up in responsibilities. And what's needed now is to identify the practical and actionable steps that would lead you to the greatest growth in joint finances and investments, because that's when, or that's where Jupiter and Uranus are going to conjunct on April 20th, which is going to be in your 8th house of joint finances and investments. And then you orient your motivations around your workplace towards expanding your joint finances and investments. So choose the work routine that gives you the greatest financial gain and or gain in spirituality and occult knowledge, because 8th house can also stand for spirituality, occult knowledge, or even deepening intimacy with partner, or gaining investors, gaining silent investors to be able to do whatever you can in the 6th house workplace arena to be able to attract other people's money for them to invest in your projects. So it could be a whole, a whole gamut of things with the 8th house. So far, we've mentioned any sort of financial gain, as in gaining other people's money. It's not necessarily money that comes out of your own skill, but you are doing something. You want to concretize your goals within your workplace so that it is pointed towards being helpful in gaining investorship and gaining spiritual occult knowledge or gaining intimacy with partner, or whatever gains that could come from the 8th house, because that's where Jupiter and Uranus will conjunct come April 20th. So set yourself up for that. And I just want to mention that sometimes you think, oh, isn't astrology supposed to be spiritual? Why am I orienting my greater goals, even sometimes life mission towards gaining in finances, gaining in such mundane thing, in such materialistic thing? And to that, the response is that astrology itself really is neutral. And don't forget, we all take turns. As in today, it's your turn to really put your focus on, let's say, joint finances, on your investments. And tomorrow, it could be my turn. So we all take turns. And it's really important to remember that in order for spirituality to blossom, we really need to take care of material as well. We need to take care of our bodies. We need to take care of our psychological, emotional, energetic health. They're all in the manifested realm. And from the overall well-being, wellness of our manifested systems, we're able to channel more from the spiritual, from ether. So don't worry about feeling like, you know, orienting my goals towards financial gain. That sounds almost selfish. I say go for it because it's your turn. So Libra ascendants, while you've been going through a lot of ups and downs, stop and go, because Saturn in the sixth house is not very fun. Some of you lost your jobs. I know some of you got reduced in your responsibilities, got shifted, got reorganized, so on and so forth. And it's not easy. But just remember, as you are choosing where to go for your next chapter and what you choose, whatever it is that you choose to focus on, like, for example, if you got laid off or you're no longer satisfied in your current job because you're feeling limited and you're sort of exploring these amazing ideas of what you could do next. Neptune in the same house is really, especially Neptune Sun conjunction around mid-March, is going to really give you an aha moment of, wow, I could actually do this as well. And wow, I could actually do that as well. And you're going to be flooded with a lot of projections, fantasies, images, dreams that are very helpful. We need dreams in order to anchor those dreams into the world. So there's nothing wrong with dreaming, and we love those dreams that you actually remember in your consciousness, and Sun Neptune is going to do that for you. So as you go through those ideas, remember to pick the one and to concretize the dream in a way where it allows you to expand your joint finances, to expand your investments, to make sure, because eighth house looks to the second house, to make sure that your pockets, your personal finances are positively influenced. So I know it doesn't sound very inspirational, but I mean, it can be. Bottom line is you want to take care of your financial health and financial partnerships when it comes to choosing your next arena in the workplace, or choosing where you land, where you want to land, and really put your efforts in the workplace. So that's Libra ascendants. And I would say this energy continues to be in effect through April, really. And I'm going to say almost through the end of the year, because let me just go back to this chart. Venus will transit out of Pisces, but will conjunct Jupiter later in the year. So they're continuously talking. For as long as Jupiter is in Taurus, Jupiter and Venus will be talking. So I see it's a progression of a conversation that leads, that sort of accompanies the transit of Jupiter in Taurus. So the energy is going to be with us until closer to the end of the year. I forgot when Jupiter's gonna move out of Taurus into Gemini, but suffice to say, it's this energy will last close to a year. So now let's go to Virgo ascendants. Let me just shift that over. So your Venus-Saturn conjunction will be in your 7th house. So you've been dreaming big and now refining the scope in your partnership sector, because 7th house is all about partnerships. And they're transpersonal, bigger than life dreams that have been transmitted to your consciousness with the Neptune and Sun conjunction, which happens around mid-March. So you may feel the itch and motivation to expand the scope of your partnerships. What's needed now is to identify the practical and actionable steps that will lead you to the greatest growth in being recognized as a thought leader, perhaps through the clever interdisciplinary partnerships that accentuate your personal expertise. So whatever it is that you are dreaming around the 7th house partnerships, and probably have a lot of ideas, a lot of ahas starting to happen around the Neptune Sun conjunction, around March 17th, mid-March, you want to be sure to orient the practical steps, the practical goals towards being able to grow your audience, being able to grow your name recognition as a thought leader, or being able to be recognized for your personal expertise. You want to orient your goals towards this. Whatever it is, whatever it is you want to do with your partnerships, business or personal. However you want to shift partnerships, or you want to, I wouldn't say transform, with Venus and Saturn, sort of make use of the partnerships so that you are able to grow in your brand. It could be a personal brand, it could be a business brand, whatever it is that you are selling, because 9th house is about marketing. Whatever it is you're selling, make sure that the partnership is oriented and the partnership is developing towards giving you an edge, giving you that expansion in the 9th house, because Uranus and Jupiter will actually be transiting. We're not only transiting, they're already there, but they will conjunct in your 9th house. So you'll continue to adjust your partnerships, to orient your partnerships towards better brand recognition. And, it sounds so like selfish, but it's not. It's just, as I was telling Libras, when the chart is saying that there's energy there for you to rise, for you to expand out into the world in terms of your personal goals, personal ambitions, personal recognition, or even in personal finances, do it, because it's your time. It's your turn. There's nothing wrong with wanting something good to happen to you personally, because then that allows you to serve in the world. So you have to take it when the energy is there. It's like when it's time for you to take sustenance, you take it. Otherwise, if you don't have enough personal energy, how do you serve in the world? So it's your turn to gain in personal recognition, to be seen for your expertise. So, I'm just going to say it, just cut the relationships that are not going to give you that recognition boost, and really build on the relationships that will allow you, that will accentuate your personal expertise. And with the 9th house, it's partnering up with people who are interdisciplinary. So if you are, let's say, I keep using the example of Lindsay Sterling. I'll just keep using this example for consistency. You don't want to partner up with, another violinist, because that's not interdisciplinary. You want to partner up with a marine biologist, if you're Lindsay Sterling, as I said in part 1 of the analysis. You want to partner up with something that is just such a wild card for you, that's so unthinkable, unfathomable at first look, that no one expects this partnership, and yet it gives you a bigger spotlight, and it spotlights your expertise. So let's say Lindsay Sterling using music to communicate with the mammals, not only makes use of her training in music, it spotlights her, let's say, expertise in, I'm just making this up, maybe expertise in broadcasting, that allows her to be seen for expertise in creativity, expertise in whatever it is. It can be about music itself or music theory, her expertise in music theory. How's that? It's not only about the artistry, it's maybe her understanding in music theory and mathematics that assists her in communicating and assisting marine biologists communicate with marine mammals. Totally, just example out of the left field, but you guys get it. It's partnering up with someone who can accentuate this expertise of yours, that gets you known, that gets you even a bigger and wider notoriety. And that's what we want. So claim it. Tea time. This is so good. Thanks for having tea with me. Cheers to you. All right, and then Leo ascendants. So the Venus and Saturn conjunction is going to happen in your 8th house. So you've been dreaming big and now refining the scope in your joint finances sector. That is the 8th house. So there are transpersonal, bigger than life dreams that have been transmitted to your consciousness with the Neptune Sun conjunction that will happen on March 17th, prior to the Venus Saturn conjunction. That's going to happen on March 21st. So you may feel the itch and motivation to expand the scope of your investments. It's very 8th house. And in some cases, work in spirituality and the occult, because that's also 8th house. So what's needed now is to identify the practical and actionable steps that would lead you to the greatest growth in social reputation, career advancement, and purpose in society, then orient your motivations in the 8th house towards it. So when we're talking about growing in social reputation, career advancement, purpose in society, we're talking about the 10th house growth, the 10th house expansion that Uranus Jupiter will give you in very concrete terms when they conjunct in your 10th house on April 21st. So we want to orient whatever it is that you want to do in the 8th house sector towards a greater expansion in either career advancement or your social reputation, community reputation, your legacy. And 8th house doesn't just mean investments, joint investments. It could also mean occult, spirituality, intimate relationship with partner, whatever goal that you have around these themes oriented towards ensuring some sort of legacy, expanding in your legacy, expanding in your social career advancements. And we recently just gained a very concrete example in national news. And this has to do with 8th house, also having to do with estate planning. So I forgot her name, but a professor at the Einstein Medical School in New York. I think they're in the Bronx. Don't quote me, but they're in New York. And this professor had a late husband who was a very, very successful, who owned a very, very successful investment firm. And so she inherited a huge portfolio from her investment husband. And so she made the estate planning choice. And the interesting thing was that the husband in the will gave the professor the freedom to do whatever she thinks is right. And the professor decided to donate $1 billion worth of investments to the Einstein Medical School. This is a real story. You can Google it. It's right there. And to ensure that everyone can go to the school for free. So from now on, if you desire to be a medical student, if I'm assuming it's going to be a merit-based, very it's free from now on. So it's going to be really competitive to get in. But if you have this desire to go into the medical field and you need financial assistance, try out Einstein Medical School. Try to apply for it, because their tuitions, it would be a zero tuition for the students of that medical school in perpetuity from now on, because they can just feed themselves off of whatchamacallit, the increase in value of these investments. It's just so bad with financial terms, but you guys know what I'm talking about. They can just live off of the interest gains and gains and gains in capital. There we go. Yes, gains and capital value. So basically they're set. So what I'm trying to say, Leos, is that, so just like this professor here, you could do something in the 8th house to ensure your legacy in the world. The professor, by donating $1 billion worth of investments and doing it out of the goodness of her heart, doing it to benefit society. We see this theme over and over again with all these planets transiting through Aquarius, having interactions with the sign of Aquarius, having interactions with the planet of Uranus. We see over and over again that those who align their intentions towards the collective, towards the betterment, the improvement of the collective, they will gain personally. And in this professor's case, they gain reputation. They've upped their social status. They're now nationally recognized. I could just imagine from now on, they'll be invited to all sorts of speaking engagements, even though, she's already at the higher echelons of society, I'm sure. as a professor in a medical school and also having had a wildly successful husband in the investment world, she doesn't lack recognition. But nevertheless, the way that she's playing this with her joint finances from her late husband is allowing her to up her social status, ensuring a legacy, which the 10th house is all about. 10th house is about how do you want people to remember you when you pass? What kind of notoriety do you want? You know, we call it social reputation, we call it career advancement, we call it purpose in society, but at the end is how do you want to be remembered when you're no longer in physical form? And this professor is a perfect example of this placement for Leo ascendants, Venus-Saturn in the 8th house. You know, really concretizing the goals, having clarity in what actually needs to be done to support the collective. And by supporting the collective, she gets an expansion in the 10th house, ensuring her legacy. Her name is not going to be forgotten. Her name is going to be synonymous with the Einstein Medical School. And because of her example, other philanthropists will start to do the same thing because she set an example. She has brought this example into people's consciousness where it could be replicated. She set a precedence for later replication. So she started a movement of how the top 1% can benefit the society. You know, me personally, I'm now going to blabber about my personal beliefs now, just bear with me, but you know, in terms of astrology as well, there is no distinction between the rich and the poor. There's just soul mission. We look at soul mission in terms of astrology, and we look at it in terms of experience for the sake of experience. We gain experience as physical beings, and we send that information back to ether to be subsumed to the collective consciousness and to be used in the collective consciousness. So the experience of a mega billionaire is just as valid as the experience of someone who's homeless in California. In astrology, we don't separate them morally. There's no moral good or bad in these two extreme cases. It's just what we're here to experience and to gain experience in for the sake of the collective, for the expansion of consciousness. Everything goes back to the expansion of consciousness. And so my experience is no more important than your experience. It's no more important than Jeff Bezos' experience. Just from the lens of astrology, all echelons of society are equalized through the lens of your birth chart of astrology. And my point being that I think I've lost my point a little bit. Let me see if I can get it back. So looking into this example, it doesn't mean that you have to do things on a scale of a billionaire to really make an impact for yourself, to really fulfill your mission, to really ensure your legacy on a very exaggerated scale. You don't have to. It's just working on a level that is right for you is exactly what you're supposed to do from the lens of astrology, that is. So even though I'm giving these, Lindsay Sterling and the medical school professor, I'm giving the 1%, 1 to 5% examples because they are exaggerated compared to the middle echelon. But just remember, these are examples because they're easy to understand. But when it comes down to what we're actually doing with it, your level is the right level, is the level that contributes to humanity, no less, no less, no less than anybody else. This is something that we all need to remember, because sometimes the economy, the capitalist economy that we are experiencing now is based on lack. It is based on making sure that we always feel a sense of inadequacy. This is an economy of inadequacy. But with all these transits, with Pluto transiting Aquarius, we're going to start to transform that. That is my own projection. But just so you know, it's so easy to forget that whatever level that we're playing at is honored in the collective. We forget that because this economy capitalistic economy has been based on lack and scarcity and inadequacy in order to sell things. Even in the spiritual new age field, we find this happening, where we usurp people's fears. We take advantage of the tendency for the negative bias to sell inadequacy, either spiritual inadequacy, emotional inadequacy, whatever it is. Not to say, that spiritual corporations don't help. They absolutely do. I'm just saying in some of the cases, you can see this operating very apparently. In some cases, you could see their heart, which is great. But anyway, I'm going to step off of my soapbox and come back to just, for Leo ascendants, you guys, whatever it is that you do in the 8th house, whatever goals, because you're going to receive some lofty goals from the Neptune Sun conjunction. It's some lofty goals are going to enter your consciousness in terms of either joint finances, investments, occult, spirituality, estate planning, so on and so forth, intimate partnerships, whatever lofty goals that come in. Remember to execute it through a lens of legacy, of your reputation in society, whatever helps your reputation rise. And in a very sort of, I'm here for the collective way, in a loving way, do that. Okay, so good luck, Leo ascendants. All right, and Cancer ascendants, the Venus-Saturn conjunction is going to happen in your 9th house. So you've been dreaming big and now refining the scope in your personal and professional expertise. So there are transpersonal, bigger than life dreams that have been transmitted to your consciousness through the Neptune Sun conjunction, which is going to happen a couple days prior to the Venus-Saturn conjunction on the 20th, or the Neptune Sun is going to happen around March 17th, and the Venus-Saturn conjunction, your 9th, is going to happen around or on March 21st. So you may feel the itch and motivation to expand the scope of your ninth house expertise. So what's needed now is to identify the practical and actionable steps that would lead you to the greatest growth in community outreach, social media followers, audience base, and orient the development of your expertise towards it, because community outreach, social media followers are all 11th house. It's where the Jupiter and Uranus conjunction is going to happen. So you want to orient the development of your ninth house expertise towards gaining more community outreach. For example, if you are a travel blogger, then perhaps you want to gain culinary expertise in order to gain an even wider audience base. So something like that, because ninth house is going deeper in your expertise or becoming published, such as it's not hard to imagine that you want to actually start, potentially write a book or even start a blog to publish your expertise to gain an even wider 11th house network. So something like that. You want to start thinking about, you want to start really bringing those streams of being recognized for your expertise into the real world, because Saturn expects you to concretize your dreams, to actually materialize your dreams through hard work. So you want to start doing that, or you maybe want to consider partnering up with somebody, because Venus-Saturn, the ninth, can also be about partnering interdisciplinarily so that you gain a wider audience base. We see YouTubers partnering up in different fields now all the time. So this is almost like that, very similar to that, where you could find, again, not off-the-wall partnerships, you can find unique partnerships in order to expand community recognition. And maybe in the process, help out this transformation of our humanities. Because if we're talking about Uranus and Jupiter conjuncting in your 11th house, it could also be about this invention that you have that benefits the collective. If that makes sense. It doesn't just benefit your own social network or your own reputation, and not only reputation, but your outreach and community, but it actually benefits humanity itself, because 11th house really is about humanities and the collective. So 12th house, collective consciousness, and 11th house is the actual humanities, being human, what it means to be human. So, do what you need to do in the ninth house. Write a manifesto. I mean, if you have ideas around what utopia is, rewrite utopia. Shout it out to the world what you think the world should be, because it helps you. It actually helps society. It helps your immediate community to grow. It helps society to grow when you're able to really bring down those lofty ideals that you have and put them into words, put them into consumable and shareable content, not even words these days. It could just be content, video content, whatever marketing content. These are sometimes an ideal could be expressed through dance, ideals of humanity expressed through dance, expressed through paintings, expressed through whatever other creative forms, expressed through parkour, expressed through, I don't know, psychic channels. Well, they're everywhere these days. So whatever it is that you need to turn into some sort of content publication to have your ideas known, do that so that you could really help heralds to welcome, to help shape a new definition of humanities. So on a macro scale, it looks like that. On a micro scale, it's just as simple as putting yourself out there, putting your expertise out there in a way where people can see you easily, where you could expand your outreach very easily. So simple enough on that front. So good luck, Cancer ascendants. Now, Gemini ascendants. Let me just take a sip. All right, so Gemini ascendants, the Venus-Saturn conjunction is going to happen in your 10th house. So you've been dreaming big and now refining the scope in your public reputation and career sector, and that's the 10th house. They're transpersonal, bigger than life dreams that have been transmitted to your consciousness through the Neptune and Sun conjunction that is going to happen on March 17th, just a couple days prior to the Venus-Saturn conjunction on March 21st. So you may feel the itch and motivation to expand the scope of your social status and how you are recognized. 10th house, social status, how you're recognized. So what's needed now is to identify the practical and actionable steps that would lead you to the greatest growth in public and community service, which is the 12th house. Now we're also talking about the collective consciousness, being of service to the collective consciousness, being of service to humanities. So you may be put in a situation that requires you to embody the altruistic public servant and manifest your soul mission. 12th house is also about soul mission, having clarity around your soul mission, being able to expand on that soul mission and realize the soul mission. 12th house, soul mission, in order to receive a rise in social and professional recognition in the 10th house. So whenever we're talking about the 12th house, it gets a little convoluted. It's like, it's a house of karma. So it's like, on the one hand, we need to exhaust. Ooh, what's going on? Sorry, it just got reloaded. Let me just go back to your ascendant sign there. Thank God it reloaded. So talking about the 12th house, sometimes it's really difficult to really pinpoint what you're supposed to do, because with the 12th house, it's almost like you are just floating and it's really hard to exert. It's like you just need to let go and let God and surrender. But in this case, if we sort of have to assign a purpose, it's so that you could orient whatever efforts that you're doing in your career towards your new expanded soul mission, because it's going to get expanded for Gemini ascendants. I'm talking about, remember, the degrees matter in the Placidus house system. So between 0 and, did I say, I think it was 12 degrees that I said. So between 0 and 12 degrees, Gemini ascendants, yes. Between 12 degrees to 30 degrees, Gemini ascendants, also look at the Cancer forecast, which I put before you, but it is actually the sign after you. So you look at Cancer ascendants. If your Gemini ascendant falls in between 12 to 30 degrees, but for those who are falling in between 0 and 12 degrees, the story arc right now has to do with aligning your career goals with your soul mission. So you're going to get a lot of ideas, a lot of downloads in terms of what you want to do to increase your social reputation, a lot of dreams around your career, how you want to be seen, how you want to be remembered when you pass from this physical existence. And you want to make sure to orient your efforts towards your soul mission, because you're going to get, and it's almost like, this is how I'm perceiving it. Again, it doesn't mean I believe or not believe in God, but this is just the way to explain it. That's more direct. It's almost like God gave you a mission when you came to Earth. And then now with the Jupiter and Uranus conjunction in the 12th house, it's like God is now taking this opportunity to make amendments and expand your soul mission. You're going to get it's almost like a service pack. You're going to get an expansion pack for your mission. And so you have to align your 10th house goals with this expanded pack. So remember that, and do not be hasty around it. Here's why, because ideally, under ideal circumstances, we want to receive the expansion pack to analyze it before we make changes to our careers, before we make changes in our professional lives, and before we shift to make ourselves known in society in a different way. Ideally, the edict should come first before we shift. But how the procession is going, how the progression is going with this arc, is that we feel the need, we feel the wanting of making shifts in our career sector first before we receive the expansion pack in our soul mission. So what I'm suggesting is this: when you receive ideas around your career development, around your society, around the shifts in your societal roles, your roles in society, as you get those ideas, take your time to process it, to really play them out in your head, to really, what is that term? To play out the scenarios, to fine-tune the scenarios. And then as the Jupiter and Uranus conjunction hits in your 12th house, pick the scenario that you played out on paper and in your head with the Venus and Saturn conjunction in the 10th. Play out that, just pick the scenario that aligns to the expanded mission, if that makes sense. So let me see if I can put it in plainer terms. So it's almost like you're going to get ideas around different things that you can do to enhance your 10th house, to enhance your uh your social standing. So many different things that you can do. And you're welcome to what's another term for playing it out? To comb through these options, and you're welcome to develop them on paper and to give them projections, to give each of these options projections. The point is, you're doing that on paper. Do not go commit to things right away. Not after you've received your soul mission expansion pack with the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in the 12th house on April 20th. Afterwards, you can make a decision on which one you're going to pick to really concretize it, to really put in efforts to move forward in, so that you expand a social reputation. Before that, please play out the options in your head and on paper. It's going to allow you to make use of that urgency, of that energy that makes you want to do something already. Just go into action in terms of planning, go into action in terms of researching each option. And then when you get the edict, when you get the expansion pack of your soul mission, then come back and match the two. I hope I am making sense. I don't really have a real life example of how this could look like, but I think you guys can get it. And with Gemini ascendants, your minds are typically very, very active. You like to be engaged. You don't like to wait so much. Patience is not on your list of virtues, but you can go into action in terms of doing research. You guys are good with that. Talking to people. Like if you're choosing between, oh, should I now expand into HR or expand into corporate planning versus whatever other departments that would suit my skills. I'm going to talk to the people in those departments. I'm going to do some research to see what are the steps that I would need to take to pivot into that new department. And do some heavy duty research, because that will distract you from actually making the jump. And then when you receive inspirations in terms of your expanded soul mission, come April, I'm going to say wait to the end of April, then you'll see which option really lines up for your expanded soul mission pack. And this is going to be valid for the next 13 years because Jupiter and Uranus conjuncts only every 13 years. So whatever you pick right now, most likely will be sticking around with that mission. So no pressure. But that's why I say take your time, right, Geminis? You're an air sign. You want to go, go, go. And your mind runs faster than you speak. And you act, I was going to say sometimes, but really you act most of the times through instinct and not necessarily through sort of wisdom. you have intellect. You absolutely run through your decisions through intellect, but running through sort of a deeper philosophical lens where it aligns you to something bigger than yourself, that's not instinct to you. And I'm asking you to go against instinct because you have to wait to make a decision so that you could align your decision to something that is more philosophical, if not spiritual. If you don't like me mentioning spiritual or mission or whatever it is, then aligning to some higher philosophical direction in your life that is going to be made known to you by the end of April. So, take it or leave it, I guess, Geminis. Take it as you are inspired, because Geminis go with whatever it is that they're inspired by in the moment. And they might just forget about it in, when the next moment comes, but that's okay. We need all sorts of ascendants to color this world. So for as much as you can be patient, please do that before you make a decision. But I am excited for you. Let's come back to the 12th house expansion. I am excited for you in terms of the expansion pack for the soul mission that's going to come your way. That's awesome. So good luck, not Cancer. Good luck, Geminis. All right, now Taurus ascendants. Your Venus and Saturn conjunction happens in your 11th house. So you've been dreaming big and now refining the scope in your social networking and community presence. That's the 11th house, right? And they're transpersonal, bigger than life dreams that have been transmitted to your consciousness, which is going to happen through the Neptune-Sun conjunction on March 17th, just a couple of days prior to the Venus-Saturn conjunction on March 21st. So you may feel the itch and motivation to expand your social network and influence, and even start your own social group with the 11th house. There's that itch. So what's needed now is to identify the practical and actionable steps that will allow you to expand in connections that resonate with your personal identity the most and can even allow you to grow in personal mastery. So now we're talking about the first house, being able to grow in personal mastery out of whatever it is that you're going to do in terms of your social networks. So for example, if your natal Venus is in the second house and you are considering, we're talking about Taurus ascendants. So if your Venus is in the second house, then Venus is most likely, probably, potentially in the sign of Gemini, then you are considering either starting a board game group or personal finance support group. Then do the second one, do the financial support group, because your natal Venus sits in the second and it rules your personal financial mastery and your first house. So Venus rules Taurus. That's why I'm saying for you Taurus ascendants, you want to sort of align your personal mastery expansion towards wherever Venus sits in your natal chart, because Venus rules your chart as Taurus ascendants. So Venus, let's say Venus sits in the third house instead of Venus sitting in the second house. If Venus is sitting in the third house, then maybe instead of a personal finance support group, maybe you would want to look into starting a group like a neighborhood watch, because it's going to be Venus for Taurus ascendant. If Venus is in your third house, then potentially it's going to be Venus in Cancer in your third house. And together with the Venus-Saturn conjuncting 11th house, which is about community, concretizing some sort of community goal, your dreams about community, then maybe it is about starting a social group, because third house is very social. Starting a social group for your extended family, because it's Venus. The example that I'm giving is Venus in Cancer. Or starting a social group for your neighborhood, as Cancer can also mean, you know, close neighbors. So it could be a mix of those themes. So it really depends on where your natal Venus sits. Then you want to orient your personal mastery and your expansion, or not only expansion, but your dreams of community towards where your natal Venus sits. I'm not talking about transit Venus, I'm talking about natal Venus. I know it sounds a little convoluted. If it gets confusing, just read the write-up a couple of times. Essentially is you're going to be getting ideas around community building, the type of community that you now want to manifest, materialize, and build, so that you could expand in your personal mastery. So that you could, let's say, just in the example that I put here, if your natal Venus is in your second house, then you want to build a personal finance support group, because that's a very second house thing, in order to have better mastery of your own personal finance. So it's going to be personal mastery in the area of wherever your natal Venus sits. I think that's a better way of explaining it. So check wherever your natal Venus is sitting, and then start to clarify what your community dreams are, what type of people you want to hang around with, where do you see a lack in community that you now want to fill in, and then align that to the arena of wherever your Venus sits. So if your Venus sits in the 10th house, then you want to make sure that this new community that you're building, this social network group that you're building, benefits you in terms of career. If it's in the 7th house, then it benefits you with your personal mastery and relationships. If it's in, let's say, the 5th house, then the social network you want to build is to be able, it's for you to be able to expand in the mastery of your natural talents. Could be anything. Maybe some sort of arts and crafts, or 5th house, it could be in Virgo. What are some Virgo talents besides arts and crafts? Or even some sort of healing and medical talents, mentorship talents, or something like that, because Virgo can really be about healing and mentorship, being a counselor, stuff like that. So I know this makes you do a little more work around researching where your Venus sits, but it's absolutely it's worth the time, because this has to do with the really important conjunction that's coming up in terms of the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in your first house. So you want to figure this out, and you want to be able to expand your social network that aligns to your natal Venus sector. Sorry, I can't make it more concrete than that, because it has to do, it's connected to your natal Venus. So, so look into it and expand your social network towards your natal Venus. Okay, hope that helps. Thank you, Taurus. And now Aries ascendant, the Venus-Saturn conjunction will happen in your 12th house. So you've been dreaming big and now refining the scope in your purpose in life, life mission, and motivations for life. They're transpersonal, bigger than life dreams that have been transmitted to your consciousness. The Neptune-Sun conjunction that's going to happen on March 17th, just a couple of days before the Venus-Saturn conjunction on March 21st. So you may feel the itch and motivation to expand the scope of your overall life purpose and meaning. You have been pondering your soul mission and feeling the need to manifest it. And actually, Saturn is pushing you to manifest it. And what's needed now is to identify the practical and actionable steps that would lead you to the greatest growth in your personal skills and resources. Then orient your motivations towards it, your soul mission towards it. So we're playing with the 12th house and the second house connection, because eventually you want to orient how you're manifesting your life purpose, your life mission, your soul mission towards growing in personal skills, growing in how you gain your resources in the second house. I know a little bit, it's a little convoluted with how these two connect together, but let's break it down. So 12th house, Venus and Saturn in the 12th house, with Neptune-Sun conjunction that's going to come before the Venus-Sun conjunction in the 12th house, gives you a lot of ideas around how you can actually manifest your soul mission. And I don't know what it is, but that Neptune-Sun for sure will give you aha moments, will give you ideas, will put information into your consciousness so that you know exactly what the universe is talking about when it comes to your soul mission, your life mission. So the ideas may be really lofty. They can just be ideals. And then Venus and Saturn conjuncting a couple of days later is going to ask you to concretize those perhaps really utopian soul missions, soul ideas into something concrete. You know, I love this sort of analogy of with Aries ascendant. It's a really analogy to make, because your 12th house is Pisces. Like you have this dream of, or with the Neptune-Sun conjunction, you see very clearly the idea of world peace can enter into your consciousness very clearly. It's idealistic, it's lofty, just like Neptune and Pisces. These are bigger than life soul missions, life goals, right? And then Venus and Saturn conjuncting in the 12th house is going to ask you to turn this lofty ideal of world peace into actionable steps, into concrete ideas. No more ideals, but concrete ideas, concrete goals, so that you can manifest them. Yeah, so this is this energy is going to come into play where you are asked to concretize world peace into the world. And with Aries, I can almost say that world peace, if not exactly this phrasing, is going to be a part of your soul mission, because, at least for this stretch, because Neptune's sun is conjuncting just in the 12th house, and it's in Pisces, which is about servicing others, which is about sacrificing the self in service of others, which is not what Aries is used to. And yet, for some reason, you've been sort of transmitted this awareness that this is what you have to look into now, and to transform that ideal of world peace, service to the world, agape love, great love, universal love, into practice, into practical practice that is for the greater good, which is Venus-Saturn, and Venus-Saturn in the 12th house. And whatever goal that you set for yourself needs to align to an expansion of your personal skills and resources. For example, let's say that you decide that the way that you're going to concretize world peace is through ending poverty, and you want to equalize the distribution of resources in the world. And for that, maybe, you need to gain the skills and, for example, supply chain, or gaining resources in supply chain. Then that's what you need to do, is to orient your contribution to world peace, your contribution to ending poverty, your contribution towards equitable distribution of resources, towards expanding in supply chain, expanding your skill. Another example is expanding your skill in maybe, I mean, it's such an obvious example, but here goes, AI, machine learning, where maybe some sort of a mathematical model where you could predict who's going to need what and where before they actually need it, to be able to anticipate future needs, to ensure the equitable distribution of resources in real time. So something like that, you will need to expand your skills, expand in personal resources. Another example is needing to expand in your finances to be able to do this. Money is what makes the world go round in our world. So this is where you may need to really orient your soul mission towards an expansion of your financial resources. So that in the end, you could actually benefit that soul mission. so that it's a positive reciprocating cycle. So I hope that makes sense. Let me just catch a tea break here. So either way, there are two ways of looking at this. So the first really is getting to concretize your soul mission and then be able to learn new skills to support it. The other way of looking at this is to orient your soul mission so that you gain in financial resources. They're actually not contradicting. You can actually do both at the same time. So depending on your situation, do one or the other, or do both, because the energies are there to support you. Okay, I'm going to move on to Pisces. Thank you, Aries. So Pisces ascendants, the Venus-Saturn conjunction is going to happen in your first house. So you've been dreaming big and now refining the scope in your personal mastery and self-identity, because that's the first house. They're transpersonal, bigger than life dreams that have been transmitted to your consciousness with the Neptune and Sun conjunction that's going to happen mid-March, March 17th, around March 17th. And you may feel the itch and motivation to expand the scope of self-awareness and personal motivations. What's needed now is to identify the practical and actionable steps that will lead you to the greatest gain in practical knowledge that helps to anchor you so that you can better and more effectively springboard your avatar into the world. I know, what a sentence to try to understand. So with Pisces, we're looking at the first house and third house story arc. So Venus, Saturn in the first house, we're dealing with wanting to concretize your ideas around yourself, your self-mastery, so that you could actually broadcast it to the world in the third house. But the thing is with Pisces, you're not used to zoning in on just one character to play. It's almost like if we accept, let's give this a premise. Let's give the premise that we are all in a virtual reality. We're all just in a computer game. And, we're just avatars. My avatar is called Elin. And somebody's avatar is going to be called Mary. And we all adopt a certain characteristic and personality traits as these avatars. Mario is an avatar, right? It has a certain range of action, range of what it can do in this virtual world. And it has a range of purpose. It's got a range of personalities, and it's got a mission, and it's got levels that he needs to go through to get to the mission, which is to save Princess Peaches, right? And that's very defined. But for Pisces, they rotate amongst avatars depending on the situation. So if the situation demands me to be Mario, I'm going to adopt the Mario avatar. If the situation demands me to be Luigi, I'm going to adopt the Luigi avatar. If this situation is asking me to be, gosh, I'm not great with video games. Zelda, then I'm going to be Zelda for, you know, for a day, a week, a month, whatever, because it's almost like they're a chameleon. They will automatically shift the avatar, the colors of their personality, colors of how they face the world, depending on the environment. And they do it you guys do it very automatically. It's just, it's not only how you are, but it is needed. This characteristic is needed in so many ways in the world. It is valued in many different sectors because that means you are completely adaptable. You're flexible, you're adaptable. You can be anybody's hero. The thing with this transit is that it is asking you to pick an avatar and go with it, because it's almost like if we keep shifting characters, if we keep shifting avatars, like one moment we're Dr. Bravestone, and one moment we're Ruby Roundhouse, another moment we're Shelley Oberon, and another moment we are Moose Finbar. Not only do we get confused about who we are, we don't get to play out each character to satisfaction, to our own inner satisfaction, because there is satisfaction in facing the challenges and overcoming challenges consistently as a single avatar. And to get to the soul mission, to get to the mission of that avatar successfully, that actually gives a lot of satisfaction. And Pisces has a different set of soul mission. It may not, like, the mission can be something else than needing to complete the mission of just one avatar. I totally get it. I'm just saying for this particular transit, it's asking you to do this, to pick an avatar as a springboard into the world, into broadcasting who we are, because you're going to be broadcasted. By the time Uranus and Jupiter conjuncts in your third house, you are going to be seen in the world. Either, maybe you're going to get a reporter's, it's almost like a reporter's going to hold a microphone to your mouth, or a journalist is going to hold the microphone to your mouth and say, please talk about yourself. Please let us know who you are. You're going to be in that position of needing to let people know who you are. And so now is the time to really concretize ideas around who you are. For any other ascendant signs, they would have no problem, no issue at all doing this. They know who they are, and in some cases, they want to change, they can't even change who they are. They're fixed, with the fixed signs. But for your Pisces ascendant, this is the most difficult thing for you to pin down, to be able to commit to a character and to play it out. Do apologize if you're hearing sounds. Kids are playing on the lawn, which is really nice. It's a beautiful day out. So for you guys, Pisces, just play this out. You're not even committed to this character for the rest of your life, because if the universe made you, if God made you, there are reasons why you have to remain flexible, and we get it. It's just for the duration of Jupiter being in Taurus, play this out. Stick with a character, play out, know who you are, discover who you are, because Venus and Saturn is demanding you to pick a character so that you can work with society in that way, so that you could work in a relationship effectively. With the first house, there's that me and thou situation going on. So without you defining who you are, if you keep shifting who you are, your partnership with others will not be effective. And this is a year where partnerships are necessary to establish ourselves as individuals. For our individual needs, even for our individual needs to be met, we need to be in partnerships. We need to realize them through partnerships this year. So do not, I'm going to try to describe it from the positive. So pick an avatar that you're the most comfortable with, that you're able to materialize, to really settle in for the longer duration, at least through the Jupiter transit. So take your time to sift things out, to really understand yourself, and then go with the character that allows you to feel presentable to the world. It can be as quote unquote shallow as that. It's okay, because we're talking about third house. It's just how you're presenting yourself, how you're communicating to yourself. Like, you know, I understand for Pisces, it's almost like you want to communicate yourself as the box of chocolates where you never know where you're going to get. And you can. This is what you've been doing. You can communicate yourself and be known as, oh, today I am praline. Tomorrow I'm a ganache. The day after I am chocolate mint. It's valid. It's just in this year of partnership, if you don't say that, oh, I'm a ganache and I'm a ganache with marzipan. People don't know how to pair with you. This is a year of pairings. Like, if you're a whole box of chocolates, then you're not going to attract anybody, because then, you know, Cabernet would be like, which one are you? Because I only pair well with the dark chocolate. So you're saying your dark chocolate and your truffles and your whatever, your mousse, your hazelnut, your blah blah blah. It's sorry, I'm gonna partner up with dark chocolate. And then Zinfandel is gonna come in and see this box of variety and say, I mean, I pair well with strawberry, but you know, you're saying that you're both strawberry nougat, and you're also white chocolate, and you're also cream filled, and you're also this, and you're also that. Sorry, I'm gonna go towards someone who I pair well with. And then in the end, you find yourself, oh my God, no one wants me. When, you know, universe made you who you are for a good reason. Sometimes we need all the tools in the box in order to face all sorts of circumstances, to accommodate all sorts of arisements, to accommodate all situations. That's your strength. It's just in a year like this, we need you to pick an avatar and go with it and play it out. Because it's gonna have to do with how you can communicate better with this world, how you can have a more satisfying interaction with this world, how you can expand your interaction with this world. You would think that, oh, I'm accommodating with everyone. That means, my options are limitless because I have all these flavors in my box. I pair well with everybody. But then when you do that, people don't see sort of a specialty. People don't know where to put themselves with you. And then your interactions becomes unsatisfying because they cannot go deep. Um, they cannot play out the scenes. If this is a video game, they cannot finish the scenes with you. And it becomes unsatisfying for both sides. So in order for you to have a more satisfying interaction with the world, practice picking out an avatar and sticking with it. I know when other ascendants listen into this conversation, they're like, what the hell are you talking about? Why are you talking about avatars? But Pisces, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. And you have been troubled by this all your life, but hopefully I'm now putting it into words so that you know. When it comes to the me and thou situation, when it comes to partnerships, you have to make a stand. And you'll be given the opportunity to make a stand so that the scenarios can be played out to your satisfaction and the other parties. Remember, it's a we game this year. It is a me and thou, let's do this together year. So, I'm not asking you or anybody to sacrifice themselves. I'm just saying this so that you can have a satisfying experience in a we year, which at first is like, yes, I can do the we because I can be anybody. No, in order to be the we, you have to stand firm in who you are, which sounds really, really counterintuitive, but that's how Aries, and that's why the first house is opposite the seventh house. They are complementing. You cannot have a good partnership without solid individuality. There you go. Thank you for bearing with me, Pisces. God knows, you know, so much love for you. Um, you guys get the bad end of the stick sometimes. I totally get it. And you feel like you can feel very sacrificial, but hopefully I'm giving you an out. I'm pointing you towards the light, the end of the tunnel. So use that as you will. Thank you so much, Pisces. So Aquarius ascendants, Venus and Saturn conjunction happens in your second house. So you've been dreaming big and now refining the scope in your personal finance sector. And there are transpersonal, bigger than life dreams that have been transmitted to your consciousness with the Neptune Sun conjunction, which is going to happen on March 17th or around that time, just a couple of days before the Venus-Saturn conjunction on March 21st. So you may feel the itch and motivation to expand your skills, to level up in personal finance, in alignment with the second house. And what's needed now is to identify the practical and actionable steps that would lead you to the greatest growth and emotional safety and security and stability for the family. Because now we're looking at fourth house expansion with the Jupiter and Uranus conjunction that's coming up on April 20th in your fourth house of all of what I just said, emotional safety and security and stability for your family. And so you want to orient your financial motivations and action towards your personal finance, not growth, but concretizing, securing your personal finances towards the security of your fourth house sector. So this can be about upskilling. The second house can be about skills. And so this can be really about gaining skills, upskilling, or adjustments in your skills, or even learning about finances, going deeper into financial knowledge, just being able to use financial tools in a better way for the sake of securing financial safety for the family and yourself. So this is one of the really practical placements, I have to say, out of all of the ascendants. This is, there's nothing particularly esoteric about it. There's nothing that is overly, not overly, never overly, but not particularly, focus on the spiritual or focus on the occult, focus on life purpose, the lofty ideals. No, it's actually very concrete. It has to do with just security and just financial security, inner security, emotional security, family security, based on financial security. So I'll give a very practical example, is that maybe you will be expanding your family come April, like either, your wife tells you we're pregnant, or that you decide to adopt around that time, or somehow you're expanding your family because Jupiter Uranus will be conjunct in your fourth house. So something could be expanding in your family, and then you're like, oh my God, I need to concretize those personal finance goals in order to support the expansion in my family, in the fourth house of family. Such a practical example, but this is what this transit is all about. This is the story arc, and one of the most straightforward story arcs for all of the signs. You got the most straightforward, almost the most straightforward. So good for you, because it's for some ascendants, they're like, how do I turn 12th house mission, life, life purpose and soul mission into concrete, actionable steps? They're like, oh, but yours is just such a no-brainer. We're talking about personal finances, potentially, looking to eighth house, getting your investments organized, getting your joint accounts organized, or upskilling, learning more about, because you are Aquarius ascendants, learning more about the latest in technology, or learning the latest methods, learning whatever skills that you need to gain in order to support the expansion of your family down the road. And it's coming quick. It's coming April. It may not manifest in April, but the news is going to come in. At least the news is going to come in around April. So right now, align yourself to whatever that would allow you to make that expansion. And if we're not talking about family, some people, the focus really isn't around the physical family, then it's about the inner security. Fourth house is about emotional security. And when we're looking at the second house and fourth house interaction, it's emotional security based on financial security. It's okay. It's okay. So it's almost like, and I have to say, there is potential for real estate goals here. So Aquarius ascendants, listen up. There is actually potential for you to have real estate activities with this transit. I mean, how practical is that? It's, again, you're one of the ascendants today where it's just so straightforward, so practical, and so real life manifesting. So this could also point to real estate if it's not about family, where you, in order to feel to up level, to concretize your dreams in personal finance, you could very well be investing in real estate or use some sort of instrument in real estate to establish that emotional safety. So instead of, renting, always moving, it's entirely possible that you're going to look into settling down to a piece of real estate so that you could actually funnel your personal resources towards real estate, towards something that is, what do you call it? Fixed assets. So this could be the story arc. And if it really isn't about manifesting something material, something concrete in the world, then it really is about manifesting emotional security from within through either gaining skills. We're in an age of change and fast changes. Sometimes in order for us to feel emotionally secure, for us to feel safe in this world, we have to constantly upgrade our skills. And so you could be looking into that to upgrade your skills, whatever it is. The world's the limit with Aquarius. Let me see. It's like you are multi-talented with Pisces. So 11, yes, Pisces in your second house. You are adaptable. Whatever skills that's needed for you to feel financially safe for you, and in turn that extends out to emotional safety, you can learn it, you pick it up easily through osmosis. It's almost like you don't even, when, let's say, you're sitting in class and learning about how to utilize AI. Not all of us get to design AI, to develop AI, but all of us get to utilize AI better. So let's say you're sitting in class. Let's say you want to learn how to use Adobe Firefly to create better AI images for yourself, and you're sitting in class. It's almost like you don't even need to listen in very intently. You learn just by being in that environment and opening up to the environment. You learn through something, you learn through osmosis. You pick it up just like that. So I'm not worried about you at all, but the point is you need to concretize your target. What will allow you, what skills to gain, which skill to gain, which is the skill to gain that allows you the most emotional security, financial security that extends out to emotional security. And there's no shame in that. We operate in a world of the dollar sign. So there's absolutely not only no shame, but it's just absolutely normal for us to link financial safety with emotional safety. So when you make that link, choose the skill that would benefit you most in feeling, because fourth house, we want to be able to feel financial safety and emotional safety. So yeah, this applies to, whatever it is that you're looking, or whatever it is that you're doing it for. Either it's you're doing it for real estate, you're doing it for your family, or you're doing it for, your inner security. Doesn't matter what you are doing it for. It's being able to feel solid, to feel grounded in this world, to root. You know, with fourth house, there's a lot of rooting. We want to be able to root, to expand our root system in the world. It's like grabbing onto something, grabbing onto soil, and to have solid foundations so we can grow. You know, the deeper the roots, the higher we grow if we're trees. So that's that. So good luck, Aquarius ascendants. Thank you. Now, Capricorn ascendants. Your Venus and Saturn conjunction will happen in the third house. And you've been dreaming big and now refining the scope in your communication sector. Third house, communications, right? And they're transpersonal, bigger than life dreams that have been transmitted to your consciousness with the Neptune Sun conjunction that is going to happen around March 17th, just a couple of days before March 21st, when Venus Saturn conjuncts in your third. So you may feel the itch and motivation to expand in certain practical knowledge that helps you broadcast your messages. Again, that's third house. What's needed now is to identify the practical, actionable steps that will lead you to the greatest growth in creative expressions and showcase your personal talents, then orient your motivations towards it. So we're talking about the third house and fifth house interaction. So whatever that you decide to do in your third house, you want to orient the third house goals towards an expansion in the fifth house. So as you wonder about the right learning opportunity to take the one that allows you to showcase your natural talents and not a subject that gives you no spark. So not only, you know, third house can be about learning, but not only about learning, but it, as I was telling one of the other ascendants, it's almost like you're gonna want to broadcast yourself. It's looking for ways to broadcast yourself, to exchange ideas with other people, in order to showcase who you naturally are and your talents. So this is also one of the placements where it's pretty straightforward, where you want to be able to broadcast your messages in a way that is aligned to your natural talents, and also that allows you to showcase your natural talents in big ways. So it's almost like if you have talents, and let me see what example, 10, 11, 12. Let's say you have natural talents in antiquing. You're able to be an appraiser when it comes to antiques, and you can give appraisals. So what you're going to be looking to do is concretize how you can broadcast your talents, how you could use your talents and showcase your talents in appraising antiques. Let's say Ming vases or Ming vases. You know, it's we're talking about antique, so I want to say vase. So then maybe, since it has to do with third house communication, maybe you want to start to realize concrete steps in giving yourself an online platform to showcase your talents in main boss appraisals. So it's really, really concrete. You may want to start doing that because you want to broadcast it. And the universe somehow, if you don't do it, the opportunity is going to be presented to you where you have to broadcast it so that you could really start using your talents in the world and be seen in the world for your talents. That is going to be sort of pulled out of you if you don't give it very freely. It's going to be demanded out of you. For Capricorn ascendants, fifth house. You guys do fifth house sometimes like it's a separate thing from like fifth house is a hobby, if that makes sense for you guys, Capricorns. It's like for the Leos, you know, fifth house is who we are. We don't separate who we are from our talents. Like we are the talents. And we don't do talents. We don't try to showcase our talents. We are the talent, if that makes sense. But for you Capricorns, it's almost like you separate they're two separate things where for you Capricorns, you are who you are, you're studious, you're responsible, this is how you do life. And then off to the side, and then I'll express my creativity in terms of hobbies. I'll express my talents in terms of like a separate hobbies where I could actually separate the two. There's a separation there. Where for other ascendants, there might not be that clarity. They're not segregated. But for you, the experience is more segregated. And with this transit, really interesting, it is asking you to treat it more as an extension of who you are. We're not asking you to completely integrate your talents into who you are, like the Leos can just do that. We're asking you to be able to see your talents, to experience your talents, to showcase, use your talents as an extension of you. So it is a continuous spectrum. It is so that there's not a gap in between, so that they're fluid. Yes, that's the word. So that who you are and your talents are fluid, and you're able to broadcast your talents within that fluidity. So in the let's see. So in the antiques situation, instead of saying, "Oh, I'm just antiquing to the side, and I'm just gonna help out my friends once in a while," to do antiquing properly, to scout out the real Ming bosses versus the fake ones, because it's just a hobby. We're asking you to magnify the importance of that hobby a little more, to magnify the importance of your late innate, not even latent, innate talents a little more, so that it is an extension of your day-to-day presentation, because third house is just day-to-day communication. You need to integrate it to something that is more routine, that becomes a part of your regular vocabulary. Even professional, third house can be about business. You can actually do a side business out of it. I'm not going to rule that out. You could actually do a side business out of it. And that would make it consistent with your main personality as a Capricorn, is when something becomes a business, when something becomes serious. Then you don't have to put a gap between what I enjoy as a hobby versus what I do for life, what I do to get through life. So I hope that makes sense. It's just allowing in more connections between what you're naturally good at with how the world sees you and how you allow the world to experience you. And of course, your comfort level, only you know. But work towards that, because in the end, it's going to be very satisfying to you, because this is going to be a new experience where it's like, oh, I never thought I could actually, have an online presence as an appraiser and then actually get business, get commission for it. Get yourself known, do a podcast, give people free education of how to distinguish between a faux Ming boss and a real Ming boss. Educate people, exchange ideas with people, and maybe it becomes a side gig. This transit can be as simple as that, and it is satisfying. So I really want to say congratulations, Capricorn. There is a potential of actually getting to actualize your hobby as a side gig. And even more than that, potentially it can become your main business. Doesn't have to, depending on your chart. I may or may not even recommend it, but the energy flow is there. The universe wanting you to experience an expansion in the fifth house is there. And if you're really resistant to it, then fine. It's going to be expanding communications with your children. If we're really looking, the classical interpretations, fine. Jupiter, Uranus in the fifth house, congratulations. You may be welcoming children into your life, babies into your life. And with that, maybe with the third house, Venus and Saturn, maybe you need to orient your communication styles towards childcare. You need to learn how to do conscious parenting, because Venus Saturn is in Pisces. There's this huge idea around conscious parenting. Maybe you have to learn more about it in order to support your children, and you're able to expand on your interactions with children to expand your own scope of what being a parent is with your children through conscious parenting. So again, if we're not talking about hobbies, we're not talking about your innate talents, then, and if you have children, then it could be about learning conscious parenting and beginning to realize, to concretize conscious parenting into actual actionable, practical steps. Sounds so easy, right? I know it's not. I don't have kids, but I've seen people with kids. My friends have kids. So yeah, it could be a tall order, but a fun one when we're doing third and fifth house. Both are very spontaneous, happy-go-lucky houses. So make use of it, make lots of mistakes. That's okay. It's all a part of the journey. It's all a part of the fun. Go for it. So that's for our Capricorn ascendants. I hope that was helpful. And now we'll move towards Sagittarius ascendants. So now Venus and Saturn will conjunct in your fourth house. So you've been dreaming big and now refining the scope of your emotional security and on the home front in the fourth house, right? So they're transpersonal, bigger than life dreams that have been transmitted to your consciousness through the Neptune and Sun conjunction. That's going to happen on March 17th, just a couple of days before the Venus-Saturn conjunction on March 21st. So you may feel the itch and motivation to expand your home and expand the foundations of your emotional security. Fourth house. What's needed now is to identify the practical and actionable steps that would lead you to the greatest growth and health and workplace routines. That's the sixth house. Then orient your motivations towards it. So you may have felt the fantasy spin when it comes to your family and or home renovations. In that case, modify the scope so that it is practical and gives you the most healthful benefits and effective routines. So basically, you're going to be receiving a lot of ideals around the fourth house, a lot of dreams around the fourth house. If it's something really concrete, materialistic, it's like, oh, maybe real estate purchase, maybe renovations, maybe additions, something that has to do with concrete, making fourth house goals concrete. And you want to orient those fourth house goals toward a sixth house expansion. So whatever you do in the fourth house needs to serve expansion, potentially expansion in health. Sixth house is health, mental health, physical health, and perhaps expansion in workplace responsibilities. That could also be true, especially if you're working from home, if you are commuting from home. Then orient the home dreams, the renovation dreams, the house dreams towards aiding you in terms of daily routines, in terms of work. And if it's about purchasing the home, then maybe it's about orienting the purchase towards whatever that allows you the most healthful routines, that allows you the most work routines, such as, just very exaggerated example. Let's say you have the opportunity to move to a really nice home that is like 50 miles away from your workplace. You can afford it. It's really nice. It checks all of your fantasy home boxes. And the other choice is moving into a 2-bedroom apartment that is near downtown, 5 minutes from your work, 10 minutes from the gym, walkable distance to a park for your kids, walkable distance to the library. But it's a 2-bedroom apartment. I mean, you guys know it. We come to these dilemmas all the time. And the suggestion here is to orient whatever decisions you make, whatever goals you set for yourself in the fourth house sector, towards something that gives you the most benefit, the most expansion, the most growth, mostly benefits in your health, in your daily routines, in your workplace. So I'm just making an assumption here that very likely you may need to take the 2-bedroom apartment or the condo, since we're talking about purchase. You may need to take that condo because it gives you the type of convenience that supports you in physical health, mental health, and effective routines. Instead of needing to, drive 2 hours to work and 4 hours and commute every single day and miss out on gym, miss out on sunlight, miss out on physical activities, miss out on social activities, social time with family, so on and so forth. So there are trade-offs in life. And so that's why, the universe gives us directions of where we can orient ourselves to gain the most from these energies. And so for you guys, Sagittarius ascendants, again, this is between 0 and 12 degrees. Beyond 12 degrees, please look at the sign after yours, which is Capricorn is going to be after yours. So look above your right up, right there, look to that if your ascendant is between 12 degrees and 30 degrees, but otherwise, Sagittarius ascendant. So make sure you orient your home dreams towards gains in physical health, gains in daily routines that make sense. Don't force yourself to buy a property that just fulfills your fantasies, fulfills your dreams, but in reality makes you drive 4 hours each day to get to. This may work for other ascendants, but for you guys with this story arc, choose the one that is the most healthful, that is the most logistically sound. With 6th house, you're going towards what is the most logistically sound. So, let's see, if you really are not looking into real estate purchase, it could also be about goals around the sense of emotional safety. 4th house can be just about what's within, or even family goals, the relationship that we want to achieve with our family. And this part can get a little more, it's a little more mental, not as manifested in terms of material, but this is more of an internal manifestation where we want to orient our relationship with our family. 4th house, right? It's our family, either we married into or family origin. We want to set the practical goals that allows us to have the most mental stability, physical stability, that allows us to have logistical stability. And I know we're talking about Jupiter and Uranus expansion in the 6th house. And when we think of expansion, you know, it's not really about security, but because it is in the 6th house, which is ruled by Virgo, its purpose really is about feeling solid, having a solid routine. So combined with family, the theme of family, with Venus-Saturn conjunction in the 4th house, there is a sense of perhaps reorganizing your feelings, reorganizing how you relate to your family members in order to live effectively, in order to live most healthfully, in order to work the most efficiently at your workplace and in the world. Sometimes the 4th and 6th connection has to do with healing, seeking out mentorship, seeking out therapists, seeking out healthcare professionals, mental health professionals to assist us to concretize our dreams in the 4th house. So I'm not going to rule it out that for some of you, this could really mean the need to go into counseling, meaning the need to be counseled, the need to seek help, to seek counseling help, to seek out therapists. So one interpretation could be warranted towards that. But otherwise, it could be like, again, as I said, real materialistic dreams around the home, the physical home, instead of the internal home or the home of origin, the family of origin, stuff like that. But it could be a combination or either, depending on your situation. So regardless, with the 4th and 6th house interactions, it's a little drier, if that makes sense. It's not as inspirational like the other ascendants, where they may be creating new communities for themselves, where they may be really expanding their hobbies and aligning to what are their examples? Aligning to goals that allow them more notoriety in this world. You know, it may not be on that front. This alignment is like chewing on oatcakes. It's a little more tasteless, but nevertheless, it's sustaining, if that makes sense. It's not exciting like for the placements of other ascendants, but if we do this right, it is very sustaining, and it is important to adjust what needs to be adjusted in our lives so that we could flow with the routines that sustains us. I hope that makes sense. Again, it's not the most exciting. We're not going to see a lot of fireworks, people cheering us on with this. With real estate, maybe you'll feel excited towards it. But in the end, it's more about the inner stability. It's about really creating those routines, orienting your decisions towards routines that will sustain you in the long term. I hope that makes sense. Sagittarius sometimes wants to go towards the exciting. They actually also need stimulation, just like Geminis. So hopefully this is not too boring of a story arc for you guys to really look into, to really affect, because in the end, you gain a great foundation. Routine is everything. You gain such a better routine that conserves energy so that you could actually give more energy to other areas in your life where you actually feel excited about, and you stop wasting energy on things that sap you. So, as I said, sometimes outside guidance could be needed, professional guidance could be needed, but it's worth it. If it's about getting professional mental health guidance or physical health guidance, getting, could even getting a coach at the gym or workout coach. That's also getting help, so that you're not wasting time and energy on workouts that do not work for you. So we're playing on that level. Align to the workouts that actually effectively and efficiently build your muscles and conserve your energy, that build your energy and not waste your energy. Okay, so that's Sagittarius ascendants. And now Scorpio ascendants, finally, the last one. Scorpio ascendants, your Venus and Saturn conjunction will happen in the 5th house. So you've been dreaming big and now refining the scope in your personal creative expressions. The 5th house, personal creative expressions and children. They're transpersonal, bigger than life dreams that have been transmitted to your consciousness in terms of the Neptune Sun conjunction. That's going to happen March 17th, just a couple of days before the Venus-Saturn conjunction on March 21st. So you may feel the itch and motivation to utilize your personal talents in a greater way. And what's needed now is to identify the practical and actionable steps that would lead you to the greatest expansion in beneficial partnerships. That's the 7th house. We're looking at a 5th and 7th house conversation. Then tailor the expressions of your natural talents toward attracting those partnerships. This is, again, another one of those really easy placements to get because it's super practical. So basically what I'm saying is accentuate your talents that would most likely garner the attention of prospective partners. So much like attracting a mate. So if you have a talent in singing, then really practice those talents, concretize those talents, materialize those talents into some sort of real life format, into, I don't know, TikTok videos, Venus and Saturn and Pisces. Do something creative that has sort of this charitable tone to it. Maybe sing at the animal shelter, or I don't know if animals would enjoy that, but I don't know, maybe performing at your senior center or some sort of charity function to really showcase your talents that way in order to garner the attention of prospective partners in the 7th house. And it doesn't have to be intimate partners. It could be business partners or those, who would play ball with you to head towards a common collective goal. So it really is like attracting a mate, with like the peacocks need to really fan out their feathers to where the male peacocks need to fan out their feathers to attract the female peacocks, stuff like that. But in this case, it's, any gender. If you're Scorpio ascendant with 0 and 12 degrees, then this is what you'll be doing with this transit, with the story arc. And when Jupiter and Uranus conjunction hits in your 7th house, then you get to see that expansion of partnerships who were attracted to you actually making use of your talents for the sake of the collective. So keep that in mind. I know somehow I miss this sort of concretizing your dreams for the sake of the collective and some of the ascendants, but for you guys, it's just apparent. It's not just talents, but being able to align your talents towards charity to the world or assisting the world in some way, or being able to embody goodwill, embody peace and harmony, embody Venus and Pisces, embody the spirit of the world is one. And you're showcasing of your talents in order to attract partners, to attract peers that will go along the journey with you. And Scorpio ascendants, let me see, partners. So in terms of what type of partners we're looking at, look to where Venus sits in your natal chart. So if your natal chart, in your natal chart, Venus sits in the 10th house, then most likely we are actually talking about prospective partners in career. So you want to showcase your talents towards a gain in career partners. Or if your natal Venus sits in, what other example can I give? Your natal Venus sits in the 2nd house of personal finance. You actually want to orient the showcasing of your personal talents towards gains and financial partnerships and those who could aid you in increasing your personal finance. No guilt and shame for having that in your sights, because this is how the energies are playing out for you. That's if your natal Venus is in the 2nd house. And so look into your natal Venus to see what kind of partnerships you'll be attracting from the showcasing of your talents. And if this isn't about showcasing your talents and it's more about the kids, some of you, going through childcare right now, it could be about concretizing your relationship with your kids. I mentioned conscious parenting and another ascendant because Venus-Saturn is in Pisces, and Pisces has to do with consciousness. As it touches 5th house of children, it also has to do with building a relationship with your kids based on conscious parenting. And as you concretize actual steps, concretize actual goals towards conscious parenting, then that allows you an expansion in your personal partnerships, most likely personal partnerships, if you're in personal partnerships or if you're co-parenting with somebody. So that's also a straightforward connection and story arc. So either way, orient the 5th house sector, either it's kids or your personal talents, and be able to showcase that in a way that you're able to attract or expand the relationships that are important in your life. It may not be attracting new people, but sort of expand the scope of the relationships in your life that truly matters. So that's for Scorpio ascendants. Hope that helps. All right, so those are the forecasts of the Venus and Saturn conjunction for all of the ascendants. And these energies are valid through the astrological new year. We should begin to see its effects around May 23rd when Venus conjuncts Jupiter, and we'll analyze that chart then. I mentioned before a little bit that this is probably valid through Jupiter still in Taurus, but because the Venus-Saturn are together, very much close enough in the, let me just show you, in the Equinox chart, if we've forgotten about that. Venus and Saturn are pretty much almost together already there. So that's why this energy will continue through the year. But in terms of the actual manifestations, we're already going to see it by like concrete things, concrete effects being seen already. Yeah, around May 23rd, 2024, again, when Venus conjuncts Jupiter. So we can analyze that then. So I'm going to go ahead and close right there. I hope that was helpful. And I will see you guys in another video, God willing. Oh, namaste.